All right, welcome to Big Time Basketball, the basketball portion of the Fantasy Fanatics podcast. I'm your host once again, James, and I'm joined here once again by Nate. What's up, man?
So
And let's just hop right into things. In this podcast, we're just going to recap some of the Monday night games in the NBA. Then we'll give you some of our best fantasy basketball pickups. Then we'll just talk about some of the big deals that went down in the trade deadline, whether it's signings, whether it's trades, all that good stuff. And then we'll just hop right into just an overall standings outlook in the NBA, and then the preview for the Tuesday and Wednesday night games. So, Nate, let's just hop right into it. Monday night, there were some big games that happened in the NBA. An upset here to report. Actually, the Washington Wizards beating the Indiana Pacers 132 to 124. This was a big upset in that sense. A big game for Russell Westbrook, actually. He was just fantastic in this game, putting up a line of 35 points, 14 rebounds, and 21 assists. Really solid. Just looking at some of the other point getters for this team, Chandler Hutchinson, 18 points, 5 rebounds for him. And Rui Hachimura, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. And man, this was just a big effort. Mostly Westbrook carrying this team with Bradley Beal not in the lineup.
yeah, I guess it's kind of showing, I guess, kind of the leadership capabilities of Russell Westbrook. And I guess in terms of playmaking, he just went crazy, 21 assists.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers. It's not like they had a bad game offensively because they were really solid. Demantis Sabonis, 35 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals for him, and then Malcolm Brogdon adding 26 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and Justin Holiday had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, and Miles Turner added 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist to go with his 4 blocks. So I mean, yeah, this team was solid overall. I guess they just couldn't defend Westbrook.
I mean, a lot of teams have trouble with defending Westbrook. He's a really good player. I know like a lot of people call him West Brick, but he's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
So
you can't sleep on 35 points.
no, you can't sleep on a 35-point triple double with 21 assists.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, I mean, speaking of a good game, just moving on to the next one, we got the New Orleans Pelicans beating the Boston Celtics 115 to 109. Big game here for the Pelicans. We have Zion Williamson in there with 28 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. So a big game for Zion. Brandon Ingram, 25 points, 1 rebound, 9 assists. So pretty solid for him as well. And then Nickel Alexander Walker had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Josh Hart had a double double, 15 and 15 points and rebounds. So really solid. And Eric Bledsoe added 13 points to go with his 3 rebounds and 5 assists. So what do you think about this Pelicans team? They seem to be playing really well as of late.
Yeah, it seems like they're just really clicking and they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, and I mean, a team like Boston, who's really been struggling as of late, they're not even at 500 record yet. I mean, they did have a pretty solid game. Jason Tatum, 34 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, so pretty solid. Kemba Walker, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And yeah, Marcus Smart added 15 points in there to go with his 3 rebounds and 3 assists. So I mean, it's not like this team played bad in any stretch, but yeah, I guess it wasn't a good debut for Fournier. He didn't have any points in his 33 minutes. I know we'll talk about his deal at the deadline. I mean, did this Boston team get better at the deadline?
I mean, on paper, I think they should have. I mean, Robert Williams did get 10 rebounds. They did get Fournier. I mean, they're a really deep team on paper, but I don't know. I guess they're still, it looks like they're still missing something maybe, or I guess maybe some things just aren't clicking. I guess not all of their players were healthy, so that's something to kind of keep in mind as well.
Yeah, I didn't see Jalen Brown in there. So that's definitely something to monitor, like you said. Another game that happened, Brooklyn Nets beating the Minnesota Timberwolves by a score of 112 to 107. Just a big game on the Brooklyn end. For James Harden, he had 38 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists for the triple double. He's been playing out of his mind right now. Looking at Kyrie Irving having 27 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. So really solid from him as well. DeAndre Jordan adding 10 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Jeff Green, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. And Bruce Brown with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. So, I mean, with these two guys clicking and the rest of the team around them chipping in, this looks like a really solid Brooklyn team going forward.
For sure. I think they're one of the deepest teams in the league, if not the deepest right now.
Yeah, and this is even without Kevin Durant in the lineup, which says a lot. And then just looking at the Minnesota side, Carl Anthony Towns, 31 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, double double. Anthony Edwards, 23 points, 10 rebounds, 3 steals, another double double there. Jaden McDaniels, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. So a big game for him. And that was pretty much it for double digit offense on this Minnesota team. I think they really need some secondary scoring if they're going to be a serious team in the West.
Yeah, it's pretty much just their starting five, and I see like one or two people on the bench who are like maybe a couple points shy of double digit scoring, but other than that, they were kind of struggling to find a way to keep up with Brooklyn, which a lot of teams have that problem. So it's not like this is kind of unique to them, but still.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of teams not being able to score as much, we have a low scoring game here. The Miami Heat beating the New York Knicks 98 to 88. Just looking at some of the Miami scoring, Jimmy Butler, 27 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Bam Adebayo, double double, 20 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, really solid. Duncan Robinson, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And Tyler Hero, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. So, what do you think about this Miami team? They've been very inconsistent as of late.
I mean, they some days they play like they're clearly a playoff team, and then some days it looks like they're kind of struggling to play their potential. But I guess this game, like maybe they didn't play to their potential in terms of scoring, but I guess in terms of defense, they were able to outplay the Knicks. I think the Knicks are one of the teams that are known for having a really good defense, and Miami was able to outplay them there. So I think that that's still a good sign.
Yeah, just looking at some of the Knicks scoring, we have Julius Randle, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Derrick Rose, 16 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Emmanuel Quickly, 12 points, 1 assist, 2 steals. And yeah, like we said, not much else in terms of double digit scoring for this team. What do you think the Knicks can improve on moving forward?
Um, I guess maybe a little bit more depth. They do have some decent players though, so they don't have to, I guess, I don't think they have to do anything like too drastic, but it's just like a couple of players like here and there.
Yeah, for sure. And a heartbreaking loss in our next game for the Toronto Raptors. They lose this game to the Detroit Pistons 118 to 104. Clearly, the Raptors haven't been in their groove since the whole COVID protocol thing hit this team. Just looking at some of the Detroit scorers here. Sadiq Bey, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Saban Lee, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Um, Hamido Diallo, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, double double. Corey Joseph, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals for him. Isaiah Stewart, 14 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. So, I mean, it looks like Detroit played very well. They were able to score a lot of points, and clearly the Raptors' defense hasn't been up to par.
No, and this is right after the trade as well. So the trade was supposed to make the Raptors better, but we haven't seen I guess, the trade payoff yet. But it's only been a couple of games. But at the same time, the Raptors have been in a slump for a while. They finally broke their losing streak, and now they're in a losing streak again. So I guess we'll have to see where the Raptors go forward.
Yeah, just looking at some of their point getters here. Fred Van Vliet, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. OG Ananobi, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Gary Trent Jr., 15 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. So a good game for him. Pascal Siakam, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. And Kyle Lowry, 10 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists for him. So not really as much as we might want on offense from the Raptors, but hopefully they can turn it around next game.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving forward, we have the Memphis Grizzlies beating the Houston Rockets by a score of 120 to 110. So good win there for the Grizzlies. Just looking at some of the stats, Jonas Valanciunas, 30 points, 15 rebounds, 1 assist for the double double. DeAnthony Melton, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Desmond Bain, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Ja Morant, 12 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists. And Dylan Brooks with 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. It really looks like this team has a lot of depth scoring.
Yeah, for sure. I guess Desmond Bain was a little bit overlooked this season, but he's had a really good year, I think, especially in fantasy. If you picked him up, you'd probably be really happy right now.
Yeah, and just looking at some of the Rockets scoring here, Kelly Olynyk played fantastic for them. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Kevin Porter Jr., 10 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Jay Sean Tate, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. DJ Augustin, 13 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. And Sterling Brown, 10 points to go with his 7 rebounds. So I think it's pretty much over at this point for the Rockets, being 14th in the West. But what did you think of sort of their performance here and going forward?
I think their performance here was pretty good. I guess the score doesn't necessarily indicate it, but I think in terms of offense, I think that they're starting to click a little bit more. I think going forward, they just kind of need to, I guess, maybe tune it up a little bit more. Not necessarily in terms of like getting new players, but I guess they just need some more time to adjust, and hopefully we'll be able to see a playoff Rockets team next season.
Yeah, for sure. And just looking at a team that's really trying to put themselves into the playoffs, and that's the Dallas Mavericks getting a big win Monday night, 127 to 106 over the OKC Thunder. Just looking at some of the stats here, Kristaps Porzingis, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, big game. Luka Doncic, 25 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals for him. Tim Hardaway Jr., 19 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. And Dorian Finney Smith, 12 points, 1 rebound, and 2 assists. So a good game overall for Dallas. What do you think about the way this team's trending?
I guess by the way that they're playing, it looks like they could be having a playoff appearance this season.
Yeah, they're really looking good. They're really rounding into form as a team. Both Doncic and Porzingis really playing key roles for them. Just looking at some of OKC's stats, Alexei Pokusevsky had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. We have Svi Mikhailiuk. I think that's how you say his name. Svi
I
Mikhailiuk.
think so.
16 points,
Svi
3 rebounds.
Mikhailiuk.
Yeah, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist for him. Theo Maladin, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. And Isaiah Roby, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. So a really solid stat line for him. Um, and I don't know, what are your thoughts on this OKC team as a whole?
I think they're a young team, but it looks like they've been playing all right. I guess maybe I'm not sure about like I guess their playoff hopes this season, but again, like I said, they are a young team and they do have a lot of players who are kind of promising. Moses Brown had 9 rebounds, which is really good. Ty Jerome had 11 points, 5 assists, and 2 steals. So again, very very good. I think he was another player that he was on the waiver for a long time for fantasy, but now he's starting to show a lot of value.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely agree with that. And just looking at another score here, Sacramento beating up on the San Antonio Spurs 132 to 115. Sacramento played really well in this game. De'Aaron Fox, 24 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Rayshawn Holmes, 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists. Buddy Hield, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist for him. And Harrison Barnes adding 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. And Terrence Davis also adding 14 points with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals for him. And I guess with the addition of Terrence Davis, what do you think about this Kings team?
I mean, they were a pretty good they're a team with a pretty good scoring, but adding Terrence Davis just increases their scoring even more. So I think going forward, they're going to be a team that I guess they've been overlooked for a long time because they're in the West, but I don't think you can overlook the Kings now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a team that people are starting to overlook now is the San Antonio Spurs. Unfortunately, DeJounte Murray, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Good game for him. DeMar DeRozan, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists. Jakob Pertl, double double, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. Derek White, 19 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist for him. So, I mean, clearly the big time scoring wasn't there for the Spurs. Everyone chipped in, but they just really couldn't get it done against the Sacramento team.
Unfortunately, no. And I think DeRozan only got 17 points, which is, I'd say it's pretty uncharacteristic of him. He usually gets at least 20 or 25.
Yeah, and speaking of something that was just very uncharacteristic, there was a big blowout on Monday night. The Utah Jazz beating the Cleveland Cavaliers 114 to 75. I don't think anyone expected this big of a blowout. Utah, their offense was clicking and their defense as well. I'm just looking at some of the stats. Donovan Mitchell, 19 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. Mike Conley, 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Rudy Gobert, double double, 18 points, 17 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 blocks for him. And I mean, this Utah team is just clicking together at another level.
Yeah, they're looking like the best regular season team right now.
Yeah, and they clearly did look like that in this game. Cleveland not even able to get much done. Only 2 players in double digit scoring. Colin Sexton, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals for him. And Darius Garland, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And just not much scoring from the rest of this Cleveland team. This is a rebuilding Cleveland team, obviously. They just are clearly one of the worst teams in the East.
Unfortunately, that's kind of their situation right now.
Yeah, and just looking at a pretty big matchup here, we have the Golden State Warriors against the Chicago Bulls from Monday night. Golden State winning this game 116 to 102. It was the return of Steph Curry in this game. He had a big night. 32 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. So big game for him. Andrew Wiggins, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Draymond Green, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists for him. James Wiseman, 12 points, 5 rebounds, and Kelly Oubre Jr., double double, 18 points, 11 rebounds for him. And yeah, this Golden State team looked really good on the score sheet.
Yeah, especially Draymond, 60% from three. If he could get something like it will, he's not going to get 60% from three all the time, but like if he could get like 36% from three for like a season, he'd be a crazy player.
I mean, he attempted 5 threes in this game, so he was going for the shots in this game. So yeah, like you said, definitely the consistency would be great from him. And just looking at Chicago, a team that really hasn't much consistency. Nikola Vucevic, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Thomas Satoransky, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 8 assists. Laurie Markkinen, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, and Patrick Williams with 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists for him. Why do you think Chicago just really hasn't improved much after the deadline in terms of their play?
I'm not really sure because they should be a lot better than how they are on paper. They do have Daniel Tice now from the Celtics. They have Vucevic. They have uh, Zach Levine and Markkinen. So again, on paper, they shouldn't be having as much trouble as they are. So maybe it's just they need to kind of, I guess, readjust the chemistry of the team. Maybe.
Yeah, that could be something they might need to look at. And speaking of a team that just did not play very well, Milwaukee lost a big game to the LA Clippers, 129 to 105. The Clippers were clearly the better team in this game. Marcus Morris, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for him. Kawhi Leonard, 23 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals for him. Luke Kennard, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Reggie Jackson, 20 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. And man, this Clippers team looked really good.
Yeah, especially being able to do what they did against Milwaukee. This is a very impressive performance.
Yeah, they didn't even have Paul George as well, so that's definitely something to consider. Just looking at Milwaukee, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 32 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Drew Holiday, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals for him. Chris Middleton, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And yeah, other than that, no double digit scoring in the rest of the lineup for this team. So I think clearly the rest of this Milwaukee team couldn't really get things going from the looks of it.
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes into the question that people have had for Milwaukee of outside of Giannis, who's gonna, I guess, bring the scoring to the team. I mean, they do have good scorers. They have Drew Holiday, they have Chris Middleton, but I guess they just need, I guess, a one or two other people.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the end of the Monday recap for the games. Let's just move into some ball pickups for fantasy basketball. Nate, I'll start with you. Just give me three of your guys. I'll give you three of mine, and then you can finish off yours, and then I'll finish off mine.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll start with Dorian Finney-Smith for the Dallas Mavericks. He's averaging 8.4 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. And against OKC, he got 12 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and he made 2 threes. And something to keep note of was that he got 62.5% for his field goal. So his field goal is it's been on and off, but lately it's been really good. He's gotten I think 500 for out of his last 5 games, he got 500 for most of them. So again, that's really good. So if he can kind of keep this up, then you should definitely pick him up, especially if you're in a deep league. And I guess I'll go to my second pick, which is Nikhil Alexander Walker for the New Orleans Pelicans. He's getting 9.8 points, 3.0 rebounds, and 2 assists. And he gets heavy minutes. He makes a lot of threes. He's getting double digits in points. He gets a lot of rebounds. He gets a lot of assists. He gets steals. He gets blocks. So he gets a lot of category coverage for you. And like I said, he gets a lot of minutes. The only thing I can think is holding him back would be his turnovers. But if you have a team that's kind of pretty low in overall turnovers, he shouldn't hurt your team too much. So if you're in a shallow league, then you should definitely take a look at him. And I guess my third pick will be Jay Sean Tate. Um, he's averaging 10.6 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. And he's another player who's getting heavy minutes. He gets over 25 minutes pretty much every game, and he can cover pretty much every category: points, rebounds, assists, steals. He even gets some blocks sometimes, so that's really good. And his free throws, I noticed that he sometimes gets a really high percent in those, so that's good as well. So if you're in a shallow league, then you should definitely pick him up. And those are three of my guys.
All right, that sounds good. Let me just take a look at three of mine. I have with my first pick, Dwayne Bacon here for the Orlando Magic. He's around 15% rostered. He's been added over 10% in the last week. He's had some solid recent outings here in his past three games. He's averaged around 20 points. He's averaged around five rebounds, around four assists. He's had one steal in those three games, and he's only had an average of one turnover, which is pretty low for a guard. So I like him there. A pretty good free throw. His field goal, I know he has a lot of attempts, so it might be a little bit lower. But if you just need points, if you're in like a points league, or you need like rebounds, assists, that kind of thing, he's definitely the player you're looking for. Um, my next pickup is Marcus Morris from the LA Clippers. He plays power forward and center. He's around 25% rostered in Yahoo leagues. He's been added around 5% in the last week. I'd say in his past like five or more than that. In his past like eight or so games, not the one that he missed, but all of the other games, he's averaged around 20 points. He's averaged over five rebounds. He's averaged about one or two assists per game. He'll add steals and blocks here and there. His free throw will not hurt you, and his field goal has been over .500. So definitely something to keep an eye on. He's had multiple 20-point or more games during that stretch. So just a really solid addition right now for the Clippers, especially if Paul George is going to continue to miss games. And then just one other player, Kelly Olynyk from the Houston Rockets. He's around 45% rostered in Yahoo leagues, added over 10% in the last week. He's had an average of about 20 points in his past couple games since he was traded, around six rebounds, around three assists, and around two steals and one block per game. So he's pretty much chipping in every single category. He's had a perfect free throw over those games and a really solid field goal of around .600. So he's definitely a must add.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I've got, I guess, two more people that I think people can look at. I guess Isaiah Roby again. He's getting 9 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. And he also gets a lot of minutes. He gets a lot of rebounds. He gets a lot of points. He can cover pretty much any category for you. He gets some steals. He gets some assists. He gets some blocks. He gets about one or two blocks every game. So if you're in a deep league, you should definitely take a look at Isaiah Roby. And I guess my last player would be Ty Jerome for OKC as well. He's getting averaging 9.9 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. He's he gets a lot of points. He gets a decent amount of rebounds for a guard. Gets a lot of assists. He also gets some steals as well. and he also gets a lot of threes. So if you're in a deep league and you need another guard, like some of your guards are injured or you're kind of thin at the guards right now, you could definitely take a look at him, especially if you're in a deep league. And those are the last two of my guys.
Yeah, I have a couple more here. I have Jaden McDaniels, power forward for the Timberwolves. He's around 16% rostered in Yahoo leagues. He was added around 15% in the last week. So he's pretty much a new ad. In his past 3 games, he's averaged 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. He's had 1 steal in those 3 games. He's had an average of 2 blocks per game. So he chips in a bunch of categories. His free throw's been perfect. His field goal has been really solid, over point 700 in that. So as a power forward, that is really solid. So he's definitely someone that you can take a look at as he's getting a lot more minutes per game, well into the 30s in those 3 games. Um, and then one more pickup I have is Reggie Jackson for the Clippers. You can play point guard and shooting guard in fantasy lineups. He's around 9% rostered, so more of a deep league pickup in Yahoo. He's been added around 5% in the last week. He's had a lot of solid games as of late. In his past 3 games, he's averaged around 20 points. He's averaged around 3 rebounds, around 3 assists. He'll throw in some steals here and there. He might hurt you a bit with turnovers, but other than that, solid from the free throw and solid for the field goal as well. So Reggie Jackson is definitely a good add, especially in deep leagues. So that's the end of our pickups. Let's just move into some trade deadline talk here. Um, Nate, I just wanted to get your thoughts. First of all, the LaMarcus Aldridge signing with the Brooklyn Nets. This was a big signing. Brooklyn just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's been looking like Brooklyn is basically a shoe into the finals, if not winning an NBA championship this season. And the as I guess the season goes on, it keeps looking that way. I mean, not all of their players have been healthy, but at least on paper, they have more depth than anybody else right now.
Yeah, we can definitely say that about this Brooklyn team. And speaking of another team that's adding a lot of depth, I'm looking at the Lakers adding Andre Drummond, big time signing for the Lakers. Yeah, what do you think this means for Drummond? About how much do you think he'll produce in terms of fantasy for the people that held on to him? What do you think his role is going to be with the Lakers?
I think his role is going to be pretty similar to what you normally see him do in Detroit and what you've seen him done in Cleveland. He's, for the most part, I guess, a double double machine. So you're going to see more of that. And Anthony Davis is still out. LeBron James is still out. So you're probably going to see a decent amount of minutes for him as well. I'm not sure, I guess, how many minutes because Montrezl Harrell is still there, I believe. So
Hmm.
he's going to be sharing some minutes with him, but it's possible that they could have Montrezl Harrell and Drummond at the same time at some points. So if they do that, then I think we're going to see, I guess, a Lakers team with a lot of, um, I guess, size.
Yeah, we can definitely say that because they're definitely one of the bigger teams in the league in terms of depth. Um, let's just look at another trade here. I know we briefly talked about the Terrence Davis trade to the Sacramento Kings from the Toronto Raptors. You're a Raptors fan. They made a big splash in the deadline, trading Norman Powell to Portland in exchange for Gary Trent Jr. and Rodney Hood. Would you care to analyze the trade and like what it means to you as a Raptors fan, and what do you think Portland got in a player like Norman Powell?
I guess I'll start with Powell first because he's had an amazing season. When the Raptors had both Van Fleet and Pascal out, Norm stepped up and he ended up having multiple games where he ended up scoring at least 25, if not 30. He's a decent shooter. He can go to the rim. So basically, Portland got another guard who's really, really good. And I guess from the Toronto side, they did get Gary Trent and Rodney Hood. Gary Trent has also had a really good season. He was on the waiver at the beginning of fantasy, and I guess he's probably not on the waiver anymore. He's been getting a lot of threes, and he's had a lot of 20-point games. So I think in terms of shooting, Toronto did get another shooter, but I guess I would at the when I saw the trade, I was one of the people who was kind of skeptical, at least at first, because I wasn't really too sure how much the Raptors would improve. I think I guess their problems are a little bit deeper than we just need to get another shooter or we need to get another guard, because the Raptors are pretty deep in terms of the guard position. So I think going into the offseason, they're probably gonna, I guess, they're gonna need to make a little bit more adjustments.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the Raptors have been struggling before the Powell trade and after the Powell trade. So yeah, it just really seems like a downhill spiral for this Raptors team. I don't know, can they turn it around, or do you think it's too late?
Um, I want to say that they can turn it around, but I am not really too sure because they every time like they try something new, they get like a couple of wins and then they go on a losing streak. So if they are going to make it, they're gonna have to go on like a crazy win streak.
Yeah, I can definitely say the same thing about the Raptors. Speaking on a team that's on a crazy losing streak, Houston sent Victor Oladipo to Miami for Avery Bradley, Kevin Olynyk, and a first round pick. Um, yeah, this seems like a big trade for Miami, just getting more depth there at the guard position. What do you think about this trade?
I think it's a good trade for Miami. I mean, they did trade away Oladipo. He is a really good player, but they did get Olenek in return. And I guess some Miami fans can vouch for him. He's a good scorer. It's just that I guess you're playing with Bam at a bio, so you're not gonna have the most field goal attempts. So I think we just saw it this past game. Olenek had a really good game, so I think this is a good trade for the Houston Rockets. And I guess for Miami, they get another a guard. So more depth is, I guess, always good.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of a team that, again, a lot of these are depth moves, but this was a big move here. Nikola Vucevic going to the Chicago Bulls in a big trade. This was probably the biggest trade of the deadline. Vucevic and Aminu to Chicago for Otto Porter, Wendell Carter, and two first round picks. It really looks like Orlando got a lot in this trade. But then Chicago did get the best player in this trade. So what do you think about this whole deal?
I guess I wasn't sure why Orlando wanted to trade Vucevic, who's clearly their best player. I mean, if you were going to do a rebuild, he's the player that you'd want to build your team around. He can get category coverage for like every category pretty much. He gets a lot of points, a lot of rebounds. He's pretty decent at assist as well, I believe. And he's a center, so you know he's going to get a lot of blocks. So again, I wasn't pretty sure. And then they traded Evan Fournier as well. So I think I guess they're looking, maybe they're looking farther into the future than just trying to build around Vucevic. Maybe a full rebuild might be happening in Orlando. I guess we'll have to see for that. And I guess for the Bulls, this is really good because again, Vucevic is one of the best players in the East. Uh, and I think on paper they should be a playoff team, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely agree with you on that. There was another trade that also happened. The Pelicans sent JJ Redick and Nicolo Melli to the Dallas Mavericks for James Johnson, Wes Iwundu, and a second round pick. What do you think Redick is going to add to this Mavericks team, and what do you think about this trade?
I think it's a pretty decent trade. Redick is a good shooter, and the Dallas Mavericks do like to shoot a lot. I think they're top five in terms of uh, 3 point attempts. They do make a lot of threes as well, but in terms of percentage and in terms of true shooting, it's been probably not to what Dallas wants. So that's probably why they got him. So I guess you're gonna see, I guess, even more threes, and I guess you're gonna see more accurate threes as well with JJ Redick on Dallas.
Another deal here that I didn't really understand. The Atlanta Hawks sent Rajon Rondo to the LA Clippers in exchange for Lou Williams and two future second round picks. I didn't know Rajon Rondo was worth this much at his age.
Yeah, I guess he is one of the smartest players in the league, so I guess that gives him a lot more value than I guess what fans are letting on.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Lou Williams is still a pretty decent player, so I guess Atlanta is getting a good player on their side as well.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best season this year for him, but I think on the Hawks he can probably get a lot of production. He's still a double digit scorer, so um, I think the Hawks needed a lot of scoring. So I guess that's probably why they decided to get Lou William for Rajon Rondo.
Yeah, for sure. And just looking here, there was a three-way trade. George Hill went to Philadelphia. Um, and he went with another forward in a three-team trade. OKC got Austin Rivers and Tony Bradley and a couple second-round picks, and the New York Knicks got Terrence Ferguson and Vincent Poirier. So, what do you think about this whole three-way trade? George Hill being clearly the best player in this trade.
I mean, it gives Philly even more depth. George Hill has been injured so far, so I guess we won't see, I guess, how valuable this trade will be until he comes back.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Another trade here, Orlando sent Aaron Gordon and Gary Clark to the Denver Nuggets for Gary Harris, RJ Hampton, and a protected first round pick going to Orlando. So Orlando's really cleaning house, clearly sending Gordon to the Nuggets.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good for the Nuggets because now they have another scorer. So, I mean, they'll take it, of course.
Yeah, for sure. I can agree with that. And then one more major trade to talk about. Uh, Another Orlando cleanout piece here. Evan Fournier going to Boston for two second round picks. Um, although he didn't have his best first game, do you think Fournier can chip in for this Boston team that's looking to sort of make the playoffs and then go on a run?
I think possibly. I know they are still running the team through Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, but I think he's still, I guess, maybe like a good secondary scorer for the Celtics. But I think that um, the Celtics do need a little bit more in terms of the center. I'm not sure why they decided to trade Daniel Tice, but they do have Tristan Thompson, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, for sure. And then yeah, just looking at the Eastern Conference right now, Philly's still on top. Brooklyn, they're about half a game behind because they have one more loss. Then Milwaukee's sitting there in third. Charlotte moved into fourth. They've been playing really well, even with the absence of LaMelo Ball. The New York Knicks in fifth, the Atlanta Hawks in sixth, Boston there in seventh, Miami in eighth, and then of course the ninth and 10th spots are play-in positions. We have the Indiana Pacers at ninth and the Chicago Bulls at 10th. Do you think those are going to be the 10 teams? Because it really looks like that those might actually be the 10 teams.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think maybe the Chicago Bulls might be able to go on a run and they might be a little bit higher. Unfortunately for the Raptors, I think this is kind of like if they don't go on a win streak right now, they're probably not going to make it.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree with that. And most of the teams below the Raptors have not been playing that well. They all have 3 wins or less in their last 10, so not really solid from them. And then just looking at the West, Utah still playing out of their minds. They're in first. Phoenix here in second. The Clippers in third. Those 3 teams have played very well. The Lakers, they've been so-so. 6 wins in their last 10 is not too bad with all their injuries. Uh, and then Denver here in fifth, Portland in sixth, Dallas in seven, and the San Antonio Spurs. They've only won 4 out of their last 10, dropping to eighth. I know Memphis is here at ninth, knocking on the door, and then Golden State there at 10th. Sacramento and New Orleans are also in this. They're in 11th and 12th, but they also both have over 20 wins on the season. I mean, is it possible that those 2 teams could get into the top 10?
I mean, if they keep playing like they are now, it's possible.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I think the rest of the teams from OKC down are just a little bit too far. And they just haven't been playing very well. So I think their season is probably over.
Yeah, very unfortunate for these teams, especially for Houston and for Minnesota. They've both had some really rough seasons, so I guess the off season is just to kind of prepare and try again next season.
All right. And let's just move into the previews here for Tuesday and Wednesday's games. I know we have some spreads for Tuesday's games, so we can take a look at that. And then I guess for Wednesday, we'll just have to pick winners.
Yeah, sure.
Let's just take a look at the Tuesday games. We have the Charlotte Hornets at the Washington Wizards. Um, yeah, both teams. I mean, they're playing decently well. I know the Wizards haven't played as well, but they did have a big game Monday night. And the Hornets, I mean, they're fourth in the East, so they're playing very well. The spread opened up at -3 for the Hornets. Do you think the Hornets win? And if they win, do they cover, or do you see the Wizards taking this one?
I think that it kind of depends on how Bradley Beal is feeling. I think if he's in, then I think the Wizards could actually beat the Hornets. But if he's out, then I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at the report here. It says that he is questionable for Tuesday's game. Um, yeah, it's really tough to say, honestly. I think I would still side with the Hornets, even if Beal does play, because of Washington coming off a back to back. This team clearly wouldn't have as much rest. So I think I would side with the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well.
All right, and just moving into the next game, the Philadelphia 76ers at the Denver Nuggets. This game opened up at a spread of -5 in favor of the Denver Nuggets. Do you think Philly can keep it close, or do you think Denver runs away with this game, or do you think Philly actually takes this game?
I think in order for Philly to take this game, we're gonna need to see Embiid come back. I think Denver is still a really good team. I know they're a little bit overlooked, so I think beating Philadelphia is probably gonna be, I guess, the way for to put themselves on the map even more.
All right, that sounds good. And we have the Phoenix Suns taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Phoenix is favored by 6 points in this game. But one thing I've noticed about the Phoenix Suns is they're a good team, but they've played down to their competition a lot this year, meaning games that you thought would be blowouts were actually really close. And then games you thought were really close ended up being blowouts. So they're very inconsistent. So do you think the Hawks can keep up with the Suns team and keep it close?
I think if Lou Williams gets to play off the bench, I don't think the Hawks should have too much of a struggle keeping it close. But I still think it's possible for the Suns to blow out, but I still think the Hawks can keep up with them now.
Okay, so you see a less than 6 point spread on this game.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. And just moving into the last game of Tuesday night, the LA Clippers taking on the Orlando Magic. The spread is 11 points right now. Um, I see the Clippers clearly winning this game, but do they cover 11 points?
Um, Being able to cover 11 points is really tough, but the Jazz was able to cover, I think it was
16
16
points, yeah.
points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe. And Orlando did trade away a lot of their best players. So, I guess this is probably one of the safer 11-point differences you can make.
Yeah, and they could possibly be without Terrence Ross, so that would definitely put the Clippers ahead of them by a lot in my mind. So I think that the Clippers can definitely cover this spread.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then just looking at Wednesday's games, we don't have spreads, so let's just take a look at some winners here. We have Portland taking on the Detroit Pistons. I think we can both agree that Portland should win this game, regardless of whether any of their best players are in or out of the lineup.
Yeah, I think so.
And then just moving to the next game, the Miami Heat at the Indiana Pacers. I know Miami has been playing well. Do you think that they can beat this Pacers team?
Um, I guess for Indiana, they're a team that kind of relies a lot on their depth. So I think that if they have all of their players ready to go, they might be able to win. But I think Miami is a better team on paper. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And then we have the Dallas Mavericks against the Boston Celtics here. That's a pretty big game. Who do you like here?
It's going to be tough to tell, but I think I kind of like Dallas.
Yeah, as someone who follows Boston pretty closely, I can confidently say that they are not playing up to their level. And especially if guys like Jalen Brown don't play, I definitely would favor Dallas in this matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
And then moving on to the next matchup, Houston against Brooklyn. We know which way this is going to go. This is probably the most lopsided matchup in the NBA today. Like, let's just say that. Um, one of them at
Yeah, I
least.
think if anything, if there was like a -11 spread, this would be the one to take as well.
I think this spread might be like -20 because this is gonna be a blowout. And speaking of teams, team that likes to blow people out, we have the Utah Jazz up against the Memphis Grizzlies. I think it's safe to say take Utah against everybody right now.
That's what it's looking like. Actually, is this a home game for Memphis?
Yes, it is a home game for Memphis. They might be able to keep it close then.
Yeah, I
Yeah. So
think
whatever the spread
Memphis.
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Memphis will be able to cover, but Utah hasn't been getting giving anybody mercy. So
Oh yeah, for sure. And speaking of a team that really has needed a mercy rule this season, Minnesota Timberwolves at home facing the New York Knicks. I like the Knicks here, but it is possible for the Timberwolves to win since they can score. So who do you like here?
um, I think that Minnesota might have a chance, but it'll get. I guess it'll depend on how well everybody plays. Funny enough, Carl Anthony Towns has been, I think, the one constant of this team. So it's going to depend on everybody else, not just Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of a team that really has not been all together, and that is the Toronto Raptors. They're facing the OKC Thunder. Do the Raptors lose this game, or do you think they can take it?
I want to say that they can take it, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah, they're wildly inconsistent this season. I might like OKC here, but then the thing is, when I pick against the Raptors, they end up winning, so I can't deal with them at this point.
I think maybe for the Raptors to win, everyone has to fade them so that they want to prove everyone wrong and then they win.
Okay, let's fade the Raptors, and hopefully they'll win. All right, we got a Monday night rematch here on Wednesday. The Sacramento Kings against the San Antonio Spurs. Do you think the Spurs can bounce back, or do you think the Kings will take this again?
Um, I think it's probably gonna be the Kings. I mean, the Spurs, they're gonna fight. I don't think they're gonna want to lose at home again. So it's gonna be close, but I still think Sacramento can beat them.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Sacramento too because whenever I fade the Spurs, they always win. So I need to start doing that as well. Because whenever I say, "Oh, the Spurs are gonna win" or "the Spurs are gonna cover," then they just end up losing. So let me just fade them here, and we'll do our teams good by fading them.
Yep.
Uh, and another big matchup here, we got the Milwaukee Bucks against the LA Lakers. If Drummond plays in this game, do you think they have a chance against the Bucks?
I think they would have a chance because they'd be able to increase their rebounding. So that's gonna give them some more second chance points, hopefully.
Yeah, I still like Milwaukee here though with a full lineup. Giannis is just so good with what he does, and they're a well-rounded team. I know they lost the last game because they didn't like their bench didn't score as well, but I think their bench will definitely have a better game.
Yeah. I think if anything, it might end up being close, but Milwaukee is still a better team as of right now without LeBron and without AD.
Yeah, and the last game on the Wednesday slate, we have the Phoenix Suns home against the Chicago Bulls, and I think Phoenix might have a chance of dropping one of these games either Tuesday or Wednesday because, like we mentioned, they play down to their competition sometimes. But I guess with Phoenix being at home here, I think we have to stick with them.
Yeah, I think that playing down to the Bulls is probably going to be a mistake with Vucevic on the team now, but um the Phoenix Suns aren't a shallow team, so hopefully for the Phoenix Suns they'll be able to hold on and win at home.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the end of the preview of Tuesday and Wednesday's matchups in the NBA. This being the end of Big Time Basketball, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FanFan Podcast. We post picks for games in the NHL and NBA, as well as we'll be posting the pickups from both this show and the Everything NHL show. So make sure if you want to see the names of the pickups, you want to get picks for games every night, you follow us on social media. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, as always. And Nate, thanks again. And we'll talk to you guys on the next episode.